Hey guys, SuperHello1 here. Welcome back to another video, and today we got this. I was invited to display my layout at the RIT Tiger Tracks train show and sale in Rochester, New York, which means that I need to somehow make this not only functional, but also be able to be transported 300 plus miles and set up in a couple hours. Run and then tore down in a couple hours and transported 300 plus miles back. So there's a lot to get done. Today I'm going to start easy, and I'm just going to be starting on the wiring that needs to get done because I gutted this whole thing before I moved it up here to where I am currently. So without further ado, let me bring you in here, show you what we got, and let's get into it. So yeah, welcome to my storage unit. Somehow it has worse lighting than the basement that this layout was originally in, so good luck. I don't have portable lights, so this is going to be fun. But yeah, so here's my layout, or the underside of it. There's a sheet over the top to try and preserve as much of the scenery as I can. All the trees have been removed, any structures have been removed. The only thing really left on it is the paper grass, all like the ground cover-ish. We'll see how much of that's actually there when I get to the point where I have to load it in December, because this isn't coming off the wall, ideally. Until that point, but yeah, we'll check that out then. But it has the tracks on it still, and then some of the wiring coming through the bottom. But yeah, mostly it's just completely torn apart. Most of the stuff is up in that box, or it's in a variety of other boxes that I'm going to have to sift through and figure out what I need. But for right now, I need to get these feeders that I have. This one's for, I believe, the inner loop. I think. This one is for the outer loop. Oh no, okay. So inner loop, outer loop. This is the yard. Yeah, so I'm going to have to figure out all this stuff. I need to move these shelves. And then I have some, I got some of this stuff from Advance Auto here. It's 14 gauge. Wire. I got 100 feet of it in red and black for bus wires, and then I have a whole bunch of stuff to try and make this able to be set up easily. So I'll get more into this as I get to that point, but for right now I'm gonna break out my dad's drill and start hacking away at this thing and try and route some wires. So no, the shelves are not coming with me, but I'm going to need to buy new felt to do my skirting. But anyway, let me give you the plan here. So I did move them so I can see what's going on. So I have 2 feeders for the outer loop. I've got 2 feeders for the inner loop. The other 2 are on this side. Ideally, you want to have 6 feeders every 6 feet. So I should have some up there and some down there, but I do not, because from that set of feeders to that set of feeders is about 12 feet of track. So in theory, I should have twice as many feeders. I'm not going to worry about it. I was having issues getting power to the far side of the layout, and I don't think the issue was the lack of feeders, because it was slow even on top of the feeders. I think the issue was the bus wire I was using, which was this stuff originally. This is just what I had, so this is what I use. This is like, I don't even know, like 28 gauge. It's really small, and thus has a lot of impedance, which isn't really great for bus wires, especially when you're trying to, you know, do this thing all the way back to your control panel. So the control panel is also changing. I'll get more into that later. But the idea is I'm going to run 2 red wires and 2 black wires up, over, down, over, and back up. And those are going to be my buses for the inner and outer loop. I am going to set it up so I can drop feeders down there at some point in the future. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But if I want to, I'll have the ability to. So that's how that bus is going to go. And then I also need to run a bus up into where the yard is. These are the yard feeders. When I say a bus, the yard's relatively small. I wish I had more feeders, one for each track, but I don't need to run like a bus under each track, because this is all going to be on The yard is on the same power district as the the inner loop, so I don't need to try and separate that for control purposes. If there's power to the inner loop, there'll be power to the yard. I run mostly command control anyway, so it's really not going to be a problem. So I might just bring down a feeder from here, or bring down the bus from here, and run it just straight down the middle, and connect it back up on the other side from the inner loop. But I'm going to figure that out as I go here. So let's get started with the outer loop bus wires. Okay, so the red bus lines are in. I'm going to leave these pigtails. So I intentionally cut them long. You can see on the first one I was still trying to figure it out. But I cut this long so that I can just run this right into my terminal block that'll be used for track power. That'll go to the ZW. For this one I'm just going to reattach the bit that I cut off with another suitcase connector. These are just... normally they're made by Scotchlok, these Advance Auto things, or I think Dorman or something. I don't know. By the way, the reason I go to Advance is just because it's cheaper and it's closer. And they usually have the stuff. So anyway, reds are done. Let's go do the black. And just like that, the blacks are in. This is honestly really satisfying. This layout needed to be rewired for a long time, and I'm glad I'm finally doing it. Anyway, I did reattach the pigtail for the outer loop hot, and then I need to mount, or now I need to mount the power distribution blocks. That's going to come in from the transformer, and that's going to go out to the rest of it. There's going to be 3 main blocks here. So there's going to be one for the ZW, there's going to be one for my switch controller, which I'm going to need to build, and there's going to be one for my lighting controller, which I'm going to need to build. So this switch down here will probably be either removed or it'll become my master power. I'm not sure yet. The problem is that it's very easily accessible by the public, so last thing I want is somebody coming along and accidentally bumping the switch and killing power to the whole layout, or, you know, some kid coming over and being like, oh, what does this do, and flipping it and killing the power to the whole layout and feeling bad. But so that just may end up being the way that it is. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But next I'm going to run the drop down for the yard track, and as I said, I'm going to connect up all the feeders. So I actually caught myself overcomplicating it a little bit. That's rare. These feeders for the yard track reach up here. So why do I need to run a bus? If it's going to be powered off the inner loop, then I'll just run it up there. Same thing goes for the... so this is on, I want to say the outer track. I can't tell. The outer yard track. So there's ideally eventually going to be one for the inner yard track, which will do the same thing. It'll just run straight up. And then I would like one before or between the switch and the main line, and that can just jump over into the bus line over there. So yeah, let's skip that bus line and just jump in to the feeders. So if you guys don't know how these work, I'm going to do my best to show you here. I got in the red feeder. Here's my black feeder. Obviously for O scale, black is common and red is AC hot. So I'm just going to roughly estimate about that much wire to get to the bus. These little suitcase connector things, they have one open end and they have one closed end. The open end just snaps over whatever your bus line is, and then you take your feeder and you run it into the closed end. Obviously there's 2 sides of them. One of them actually has a bump stop, and the other one you can actually feed a wire through. You put the wire through the side that you can feed the wire through. So yeah, I'm going to make it difficult on myself, and I'm going to flip it upside down. And then comes the fun part of I need to hold the feeder and the suitcase connector so that the feeder is as far into the connector as it can go, and then I need to take my set of pliers here and squish the little metal tab on the connector, and that will connect these two wires by slicing through the insulation and making contact with the metal core. Once you've done that, you can fold over the lid of the suitcase, and just like that, you've got a feeder. So I'm going to do that for the mains now, and then we can move on to, I believe, switches are next. And just like that, all the feeders are in. I've got my outer loop, inner loop, yard, which we did together, and then my outer and inner on this side, and then there's nothing on the bottom. So next step is going to be lighting and switches, and the way that these are going to work is really not ideal, but it'll get the job done. So the switches will maintain their little teeny tiny wires that they have right here, and the crossover switches are going to run up into a terminal block that'll be mounted here, and from there they will join their outputs and come out and go over to another terminal block that'll be over here, and that will run, or that'll connect to the switch controller. That way I can control both of these switches from one switch. I'll get more into that when I start doing the switch controller. As for the single switches, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I really don't want to replace these little wires going up above the layout, because these little wires, albeit they kind of suck, they're very small, so they can't really be seen. But I think I'm going to, if I have enough terminal blocks, I'll make this one, and then the other one that's somewhere, this guy, this is the curved turnout. They'll have their own distribution blocks, and again run into, I think I have 16 gauge wire for those, which will run all the way back up to the front of the layout. The lighting is a similar story. These are all the buildings I'm going to try to control individually, for no other reason than I hate myself, and I think it'll be fun. So each of the buildings will run into a terminal block, and then that terminal block will run, again, 16 gauge wire all the way back to the terminal block on the front of the layout, which will connect to the lighting control board. So yeah, that'll be fun. That also means I need to light all of the houses individually, so that I can just drop the wires through the layout, quick hook it up to the terminal block, and call it a day. But so yeah, that'll be a fun challenge. But I don't have the hardware right now to actually mount any of the blocks. So I have, tons of them, but I don't have any hardware to actually fasten it. So I need to go get that. But because this is a storage unit, I can't just leave all the stuff out. So I gotta throw everything back in here, go shopping for stuff, and then come back, tear it all out again, and yeah. So this is going to be fun, but that means that this is probably going to be a tomorrow issue. So with that, I'll see you guys then. Okay, we're back. So I figured out that I need these. These are number 6 3/4 inch screws. These should work for both styles of terminals that I have. So I've got these, which screw through. They've got the single hole that the cover also goes into, and I've got this style, which has 4 holes. But the number 6 3/4 should work for both of these and give me pretty good bite into the wood. So I also have this. I sketched this out a couple weeks ago. This is how I figured out how many terminal blocks I need, but this is in essence what the wiring plan is in terms of lighting. I do have the switch plans in here, and then I think, yeah, so lighting controller, so this is all of it, with the exception of the main, the ZW. So I'm going to start by putting in the crossovers, just because that's where I want to start, and then from there I will work on the lighting. So let me let me get these mounted up here. There's a lot. Oh, on the other note, the packs that I got came with... They came with the... Hold on. Had to crack one open real quick. They came with these things. These are what I'm going to be using for, like, jumpers between the different terminals. So, like for this guy, you can see that it jumps to itself a couple times. So I'm going to be using these guys for that. But yeah, so let me get some stuff set up, and I'll check in with you guys later. Alright, so here's where we're at. Made some decent progress. This is the main terminal block for the transformer. This is power for the lighting controller or switch controller, whichever one ends up being. This one will be the main bus in for the switch controller, or all the inputs in for the switch controller, or again, lighting controller. And then the other one's power and the other one's inputs. As we run over the top here, this is the crossover on the station side. That is the crossover on the lake side. These are the terminals for the school parking lot lights. And on the other side is the connector for the school. Down there is the single lamp on the end of the pier. And then these are the station platform lights, and then this is the main station building, as well as the jumper over to the whatchamacallit, the lake corner. So that's how that's going. The reason that has a jumper, by the way, is because my idea is to kind of run a bus coming down over and then terminating there, and then I can run a lead from here up. Although now that I think about it, I'm gonna need to switch that block and that block. Okay, well, 'tis the nature of the way that this is. The only thing I have left are the yard lights, which I don't know where they are. Because, yep, and the street lights, which, same deal, I don't know where they are. So that might be something that has to get done at the show, unless I can somehow find a time to tip this platform over, and be able to actually look at the top of it. But for right now, I want to try and get anything on this side done, so that I can, not have to pull out all those boxes tomorrow, because this is going to be a 3-day thing. But yeah, so let me get into that, and I'll show you what I have when I'm done. Alright, so here's what I'm going to have to call it for today. I ran the power for the dock light and the bus, or the main bus, which currently just ends in the dock terminal, and I'm going to need to use a suitcase connector to run the wire all the way up to there, but I'm going to need a lot more yellow wire, because I want to use yellow for hot for all the lighting circuits, so I need a lot more of that. And I wasn't able to get to the switches today, but I have plenty of black and red wire to do those, so that's fine. And then I didn't get into wiring any of the pigtails up. So that's all tomorrow problem, because it's late and I need to get out of here before they close. So with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So I just jumped right into it today, and I got the main power brick done for the ZW. That's running power to the lighting bus and the lighting terminal and the switch terminal. Switch terminal hasn't been done yet. The lighting terminal, though, has some extra wires on it now. I'm running a ground bus to all of the lights, and I'm running an individual hot to all of the lighting that I want separate controls on. Probably should have done it the other way around and run ground everywhere instead of hot, but oh well, doesn't really matter, it's AC. But anyway, so I'm going to keep plugging along here. I took the shelves out and I put them in the hallway, so hopefully I can actually pull the platform away from the wall and I can trace out where the streetlights go. That way that's not a day of sort of thing. But I'll keep plugging along here and catch up with you guys later. Well, that's a sight for sore eyes. So this is how my platform looks. I guess you can, if you're on a phone, just rotate it. But that's how it currently stands. There's no buildings on it. Obviously, you can actually see the lines where the buildings used to be. All the roads and the main scenery is still there. Most of the groundwork is actually still attached, which I'm genuinely kind of surprised by. Station's still here. So, huzzah. And most of the lake corner is still intact, which is pretty nice. So, anyway, the reason I'm over here is so that I can mark out where the street lights go, and I can mark out where the yard lights go, and I'm going to use this really thin wire as sort of like fishing line almost, to figure out where stuff is. Ooh, I just realized that corner's peeling up. Fun. That's probably because I never took the mountains out when I did, or the hills out when I did that. Woot. Anyway, I'm going to drop some lines here and then get back to work. So I got as many lights as I could marked out. So I got a street light. There's one very inconveniently on the beam. I don't know why I did that or how I did that. Yard light, yard light, yard light, another street light, the other street light. That's the ends of the school. Schoolhouse is down there. Track 1, track 2 for the freight station. The car's there, the water tower's there, which I had completely forgotten about until like 5 minutes ago. And then I have all of the station lights marked out, and I found the hole for the dock. So that's everything that I need lit. So now I can actually place the terminal blocks and start running the wires. Alright, so here's where I'm going to leave it for today. I've got this switches in, and that switches in, which means that I don't need to dig out all of these boxes the next time I come in here to work on this. I still got to put in all of the lighting or the wiring for the lights, and the 2 crossovers, but once that's done, this will be complete, and it'll be ready for me to build the control modules. But yeah, with that, I'll see you guys whenever I have time to work on this again. So I was able to get the crossovers in today. I got the crossover up there and the one down there. All the wires are run. You can see I'm starting to add a little bit of slack in my wires, mainly so that I can rework some of the main terminals if I need to. I've already run into some issues with that with the lighting. Which, speaking of lighting, that's what I'm getting into right now. I am currently going to tap into the ground there, and I'm just going to jump it to every single terminal block that I need to. The reason I'm not using the bus method for this is because I don't have enough suitcase connectors. And, well, it'd be very easy to go out and get a bunch of suitcase connectors. I forgot that I needed to get them. So, rather than making this into an extra long affair where I have to throw everything back into the storage unit, go get the connectors, and then come back, and pull everything back out, and then get back to work, I'm just going to jump them all to each other, because it does the same thing. It's just a little bit more work for me. So, yeah, I'm gonna get going on that, and I'll let you know where I get. And with that mess done, I have finished all the wiring for the layout. So, the water tower's good, car's good, yard lights are all spliced together, and then it wraps around because, yep. If I was running a bus, I just would have tapped it here and run it over, and tapped it there and run it over. Whoops. And then street lights are good, even though they, again, look messy. All of the terminals up here are finished, so I can put the cover back on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and I'm going to take a red and a black Sharpie, and I'm going to mark where the common, which is always center, and the hot, or it'll be DC positive, is for each of these terminal blocks. That way, when I'm crawling under here at the train show, I can very easily figure out where I need to hook up my wires without having to actually like look at the top of the terminal and strain my neck. Should make it a little bit easier. If it ends up not being useful, then oh well. It's probably not going to take me that long to do, but I think it'll be quite useful. So let me get that done, and that'll be that. So it's a little bit harder to see than I thought it would be, but oh well, is what it is. I also decided that I would mark anywhere that has an external input for the main terminal blocks. So I got track 2, switch power, light power, track 1, TMCC. I need a finer point Sharpie, but whatever. Light controller and switch controller, hot and common. So yeah, I'm sure I'm going to need to mess with the crossovers to make sure they're correct, and maybe redo some of the connectors. I'm not sure yet. Theoretically, everything is connected and everything should work, but I can't test it right now, so I don't know. But we're going to hope. So I think that's going to do it for this project. So there you have it. That's part 1, I guess, of me trying to make this layout portable enough to actually get to the RIT Tiger Tracks train show and sale, which, if you hadn't figured out by this and all of my previous videos and that, I am an RIT alumni. I was actually president of the club in previous years, so as well as being on every other rolling e-board, but that's beside the point. But yeah, so that's that. Next steps would be to get all the buildings ready to go on the layout, and by getting ready, I mean doing internal wiring, so not having light bulbs stick up through the base of the platform like I used to have. That's going to be a little bit of work. It shouldn't be too hard because I'm really going to pass on all the interiors. It just doesn't make sense. The windows are too small. Nobody's really going to be looking at it. And any building that would make sense to put an interior in doesn't, because it's just cheap or the wrong size. So, yeah. There are some things coming with the school. I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping the original school building or not, just because it was damaged in transport when I moved, and I don't know if I want to try to fix it. I can buy a new one for like $6 at a train show because it's plastic fill, or I can actually spend the money and get a building that I can eventually transfer over to my final layout. But haven't really decided yet, so more to come on that. But yeah, I hope you all learned something. I'm sorry I couldn't record more in detail what I did with all of this. I was really on a tight time crunch. Pretty much every day I worked on this. It took me 4 days to do this, and I really only had like 3 hours a day, and I was kind of pushing past what I'm supposed to be doing, so whoops. But yeah, I didn't have the time to really dig in and show you guys step by step what I was doing. There's so much that needed to get done in such a short time that I just kind of had to get working. So I apologize for that. If you guys have questions about anything that I did, drop a comment. I love chatting with you guys down there. I try and get back to you as soon as I can. So if you're curious about anything I did, let me know and I'll answer you as quickly as I can. If you guys have any suggestions for anything that you saw that I did then you would do differently, or you think might cause problems down the road, let me know, please. If there's anything I did that you know from experience is going to cause problems, I would like to resolve them now while the layout's, on its back against this wall where I can work on it, rather than at a train show 300 plus miles from where I am currently. So yeah, let me know what suggestions you guys have, and if you guys have any other comments about the layout, drop them down below. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, hope you all learned something. I'm CW Hollow 1, and have a good day, or maybe good night in your case. See ya.